What's up, Internet? Today we're going to adjust the brake light switch on this 2015 ZX10. Now this process is pretty easy. Anybody can do this. It is sometimes, especially on these sport bikes, a fairly tight fit to get to the brake light switch sensor and make an adjustment. But the process is going to be relatively the same across certainly almost all sport bikes, but even across other genres like some standard upright bikes. As long as you have rear or mid controls, I think the only thing that's going to be potentially drastically different would be something with forward controls, either a touring bike or a cruiser. That process is going to look a little bit different than what I'm about to show you here, but for everything else, it's pretty much about the same. Kawasaki, Suzuki, Honda, Yamaha, doesn't matter. Before we get started, I want to share a quick tip with you guys. I ride multiple times a week. Sometimes it's just a quick errand, sometimes it's a longer ride, doesn't really matter. But at least once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, before I go for a ride, I will check my brake light, I will check my turn signals. I think it's important for all vehicles to have functioning lights in the rear, but most certainly for motorcyclists because we're so exposed to the elements, those elements being other cars running into the back of us. It's important to make sure that all your rear stuff and the front are working correctly. So this last time I took the Ninja out, I did that check and I noticed the rear brake light switch was not sensitive enough for me. A lot of times in stop and go traffic, I like to pump the rear brake just to flash the light and make sure I've got the attention of people behind me. I'm also always checking my mirrors. Anytime I'm in, a city stop and go stoplight kind of situation, I'm constantly doing that. Of course, you can always use your front brake as well to pump and flash your tail light to the drivers behind you. But anyway, let's get started. So I'm going to turn this on and we should have a light on, and you'll see as I'm pressing, the brake light is not coming on. Now if I press really hard, it does eventually come on, but at that point I'm engaging the rear brake fairly substantially to get the light to come on. A lot of times I like to just press it up and down like I was saying, just to pump and flash the light to drivers behind me. So for me personally, that is not sensitive enough, so we're going to increase the sensitivity so that the light comes on a little bit sooner. All right, looking from the other side of the bike, so we're on the left side of the bike looking back across, left side as you're sitting on the bike. We can see we got two springs, a really small one right here and then a really large one right here. So this large one is just a return spring that brings the pedal back up after you press it down. And this smaller spring is hooked through your actual brake light sensor. So as you press this guy down, it pulls the sensor and the sensor tells the light to go on. As you can see, I've pulled the rear set off of the frame. Let me just say, you don't need to do that. If you can gain access to this brake light switch sensor with the rear set attached to the frame, by all means do so. I did this primarily for illustration purposes in this video, but here's our two springs. Here's the return spring, and then here is the brake light switch spring, and here is the brake light switch sensor. You can see the wires running up. If you do pull the rear set off of the frame, just be sure not to stress these wires and pull too hard on them. Same with your brake lines. But all you really need to do to make it more sensitive is thread the brake light sensor out, and that'll pull up on the spring and make it more sensitive and make the light come on sooner. Or the opposite, if your brake light's coming on too easily, then thread this down. That takes tension off. You should be able to turn the sensor without disconnecting the spring, because this actually, I'll try and get a good shot at this, but this actually turns inside the sensor, it pivots, so you don't need to disconnect the spring, at least not on this particular application. These are kind of some of the details that might vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. In this case, this piece here is one piece. It looks like maybe that's a lock nut on top, but it's not. And really all you need to do is grab the sensor body right here where my thumb is and just thread it down for less sensitivity, or thread it up for more sensitivity, i.e. the light comes on sooner. So that's what we're going to do next. Super simple job. Might have took me 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes because I'm making a video out of it, but super easy job. Even if you take the rear set off the frame, it's super fast, super painless. If you can gain access to the sensor with these big sausage fingers, that ain't happening. So I probably would have ended up taking it off anyway, if not just for this video. But yeah, super easy, super quick. Anybody can do this. I also recommend, you know, if not every ride, at least every once in a while, check to make sure that all your lights are not just functioning, but functioning the way you want them to function, i.e. my brake light sensor had loosened up over time and needed to be adjusted. So there you go. Hope you guys liked the video. And if you're not new around here, then you know what to do next. Keep that rubber side down. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.